from, like we said, bringing in a guy like Tim Rattay, bringing in a guy like Noah Jones, the guys that you already have in place, but adding guys like Alex Atkins to the mix, like they were able to do, who's going to oversee the tight ends and the run game coordinator. Just incredible kudos to the moves and the offseason that LSU football has had, whether it be in adding transfer portal players like they did in the fashion of the number 1 overall class in the portal, to bringing in another highly touted recruiting class that is going to make its impact. Guys like DJ Pickett coming in who have high expectation to play very early on, to some of the other members of this class of 2025, to adding some key members to the staff. I mean, this has been an off season where it feels like Brian Kelly has really embraced the championship model and mode that he was brought in to build from a football standpoint. I think the previous 3 seasons there was a lot of still trying to work some things, figure some things, get some things straight that he needed to feel comfortable around here in the SEC at a big school that has high expectation to win every single year. And now to have this team built in this way with this staff, boys, you missed the 12 team, and it's a major disappointment at this point. I mean, the expectation has been built to a point where this is a championship caliber team from every aspect, from the recruiting class that you're bringing in to the transfer portal that you added to the guys that are already existing on the roster to the staff members that you have added to a very talented group of football coaches. I mean, if LSU, what did they finish last season? Did they finish ranked?
LSU football?
Uh-huh.
I don't think so.
They did not finish
I
ranked.
think they finished unranked. If I remember correctly, they didn't make the top 25.
But to now set the expectation to where they are, I would think anything outside of the top 12 next year is going to be that would be
college football playoff or bust.
It would be and even a second round almost. Like if I've seen the 12 team model and I've seen what the first 2 weekends look like, the way that LSU feels right now, they feel like a second weekend team. Like a first weekend bounce out of a playoff would be it'd be disappointing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that would be.
Especially if it's at home.
Absolutely.
If it's in Tiger Stadium.
Absolutely. I mean,
getting bounced would be unacceptable.
Look, Arch Manning he's the sexy name in college football next year. If you've seen all these polls, he's leading.
The F1 driver?
Huh?
The F1 driver, Arch Manning? Did you see that picture of him in the Red Bull? He looks like he works
Yeah.
for he's going to the Monaco Grand Prix.
Right. Well, I mean, look, Red Bull's checks don't bounce.
No, but they fly.
And right now, Arch is sitting at the top of Heisman hopefuls, of breakout players, of even some have him as a top round draft pick coming out next year. And the limited tape that we have on Arch, I think is, it obviously begs you want to see more. You want to see more of the player. But right behind Arch on all of these lists is Garrett Nussmeier, as far as guys that they have expectation for in 2025, 2026 to be high-end quarterbacks. And while one of those guys is more proven than the other, you're buying more of the potential of Arch as you're buying the proven work that you have of Nussmeier and the expectation of him to grow on that. So I think of Nussmeier, him coming back alone and being the most experienced and really the highest of value of those quarterbacks, of guys that are coming back with the experience. You know, I mean, like even a guy like Lenora Sellers, I mean, I'm still buying the potential of him. And Nico at Tennessee, I've seen a lot. A lot of it's been inconsistent. I'm still really buying the potential of Nico when I'm looking at the future prospect of him. The most proven quarterback prospect coming back in college football this upcoming season plays for LSU. I mean, even Carson Beck at Miami, a guy who was on the top of many lists last season, and really for the last 4 weeks of the season, played better football than he did to start the year, where it was just, at times it was horrendous. I mean, it was so bad and inconsistent, it was tough to even describe how this guy was even thought of as a high-end quarterback going into the season. And you know, he'll be on those same lists, but he's behind Nussmeier. And I know that the preseason accolades and the expectations don't mean anything, but when it's widely, you know, kind of unanimous that LSU's got the most experienced guy under center, and that has proven just from an LSU model to be explosive when you bring back an experienced quarterback for his second year. I mean, Burrow, Daniels are the first, are the guys that are ahead of him. How'd they turn out? Couple of Heisman and top 3 picks later, rookie of the years. Burrow didn't get the rookie of the year, did he?
He got hurt.
It's Herbert?
I think so.
Yeah, because he got Chase Young'd.
It was either Herbert or Jefferson. One of the two. Justin Jefferson was a rookie that season. But yeah, I mean, the year 2, and you see people are finally starting to understand that that's a thing. Like, I remember before Jaden's second year, everyone was kind of like, oh, that's impossible. It's not going to happen again. There's no way. There's no way there's going to be a second quarterback that makes that type of jump from 1 to 2, and then he does it. And so now it's just kind of national fodder of, well, Nussmeier's coming back. You know what LSU quarterbacks do in year 2.
It's almost unfair.
Right.
Like, what you say, the expectation of year 2? I mean, I don't even know how you quantify it. Like, Joe Burrow, you put him on his own pedestal, and then Jayden Daniels had the unenviable task of taking over for Joe Burrow, and you saw how that kind of went for his first year, where everybody's like, ugh, I don't want this anymore. Give me Garrett Nussmeier. Give me the prototypical quarterback. Then Jayden Daniels flips the script on its ear whenever he, like, goes on his second year run. And you're like, oh, my God, I guess you just need a second year in college. Now it's Garrett Nussmeier's turn for taking over for Jayden Daniels. And now, great first year, I would say, in my mind, for what he did in year 1 as a starter. Expectations were probably higher than they should have been because you know the name.
Sure.
And now going into his second year, we'll make the leap from, what did he throw, 30 touchdowns? You want to throw 50 touchdowns?
That's you know, that would be my next question. You know, I think that
his floor is so much higher.
There was very clear evidence for growth on both of Nussmeier's predecessors. Like for Burrow, I think it was much more surprising than any of them, because he just he became this super alpha, right? Where it was like his junior season, you saw signs of it, you know, but I mean, like, you even go back to that time period, he was still like a 5th to 7th round projected guy.
Oh, he's going to the Saints.
I mean, like, coming out of his like going into his senior season. I mean, it really wasn't until like the mid-October mark where you were like, this guy's a first-round pick. He leaves Tuscaloosa. You're like, he's the number 1 pick. I mean, like, he's the number 1 pick in the draft. Daniels going into his senior year, you were like, if this guy can really throw the ball down the field with consistency, he might be the best quarterback in the league. You know, like, it was like you could see what his progression needed to entail for him to really make the jump into the category of these elite quarterbacks, these first-round guys. Didn't we have Jim Nagy on in the middle of his senior season? And we were like, Nags, where is he now? And he's like, he's still a 4th-round pick. And you were like,
I don't know about
I don't
that.
think that's right. Right? I mean, like, it just, people were so kind of like weary on it. I mean, it was, Am I really seeing what my eyes are telling me I'm watching? I mean, it's like, is he really that much? He's running past Florida defenders as if they're, Louisiana Tech guys. No disrespect, just the difference in league and level. I mean, he was moving around on an SEC football field like it was
easy,
like it was a flag football field. I mean, he was just making guys that are really big, strong, and fast look slow. I mean, it was nuts for Nussmeier. I'm asking out loud. I really don't have the definitive answer. I'm asking our audience. I'm asking you guys who are a part with us on the show. Like, where is the jump? Like, where does he take? Is it just the consistency of the accuracy? Is it deciding to maybe better decisions with the football of he needs to run in some spots where he decides to throw it? Is it, is it decision making? Is it, I really am kind of more in my mind's thought of it's more like that Burrow jump where, it was like, man, he does a lot of things really good. I mean, there were some games Burrow played as a junior where you were like, damn, he's accurate, bro. Like, his accuracy is pinpoint. And then sometimes you'd be like, man, we undervalue his athleticism. I can remember leaving the Georgia game being like, Burrow's a better athlete than we give him credit for, right? Like, he's not just some pocket statue passer back there. These are all things that we're learning, and just watching him play for the first time.
I think
you knew you had like the mentality, even like game 1, Miami, he's out there trying to fight the Hurricanes before the game. You're like, this Burrow guy, I mean, he's a lunatic. And then by the end of the year, when he plays 7 overtimes and it's clear, like, he's the best player on the field. I mean, like, Burrow's the best player. Like, you take him off the field, it's over. I mean, he like was dying on the sideline of cramps and was just getting back out there. But like, there was you talk to people on the sideline that were like, if he's out, we're dead. Like, we got to get him back out there. And then the offseason of him just kind of like putting that all together. Like, all of it like came together of the leadership, the toughness, the accuracy, the athleticism, the competitiveness, the mindset. Like, he just bottled that all up for his senior year. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This guy's the best player in program history. I mean, like, he's
got yourself a quarterback.
I mean, you got yourself a street. Like, rename the street out in front of this guy. So, I mean, to me, I kind of think that's where Daniels was like, hey, man, start throwing the ball down the field. And let's see how good you are. Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, 20 touchdown season later, you're like, this guy might be the number 1 pick in the draft. For Nussmeier, I kind of think the way of Burrow, where you're like, I've seen a lot of it, in spurts. I've seen 1 or 2 games where he's put it together. Give me that for 11, 12 games of the year, and Nuss, you might be looking at a top 10 pick. I mean, don't forget, in September, Kuiper, McShay, all these draft boards had him first quarterback off the board with Shador and Cam. He was a top 10 pick. But then the inconsistency started to hit, right? I mean, there were some things that kind of just started to rear up that he needs to work on. If he can bag all of that, and he can find the chi of all of that energy in one season, who's to say he can't win the Heisman? He can't be that second year quarterback signal caller at LSU that makes this just elite jump into the top quarterback on the board. I mean, I wouldn't bet against it today. I mean,
not at all.
I think that LSU's sitting in a great spot, which is why when you lay that expectation out for second weekend tournament team, a lot of that starts with him. Because the hardest position in the sport, you got the most experienced, best guy at it. And that takes away a lot of your troubles, man. That wipes away some of those replacing offensive linemen up front, 4 of the 5 starters. That's worrisome. That's concerning. I'd rather do that with a 22-year-old quarterback than a redshirt freshman.
That's where you get the comparisons of if you take Burrow off the field in 2018, 2019, if you take Nussmeier off the field in 2024 and 2025, like if Nussmeier doesn't come back to LSU, where are you sitting? Michael Van Buren? Like that's LSU's biggest concern going into the year is keeping Nussmeier healthy. I mean, you saw it even in spurts last year when A.J. Swan had to come in, no shade. I mean, that's a terrible spot to be in. But Nussmeier gets hurt, goes out with the shoulder, and then you see Swan for 3 plays. You go, you can pack it up.
Oh, yeah.
This whole thing runs through. Yeah, like,
it's over.
Yeah,
it's over.
Y'all didn't like what you had, did you? Then you take away, like, actually, I do like my car.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's real fun until you're walking to the bus stop.
Exactly.
And then Nussmeier comes
jumper
back.
Cables.
You're right. Nussmeier comes back, leads the comeback. You're like, okay, have to have him. And obviously the priority when Brian Kelly talked about retention, obviously you focused on other names like maybe Mason Taylor. Is he talking about Emory Jones? Like he's talking about the quarterback. You have to get Nussmeier back, and obviously he was inked a lucrative NIL deal, but I don't think you could put a price on returning quarterback in the SEC and 29 touchdowns.
You got the most experienced guy in the country. Pay him what he wants.
Yeah, like this is an NFL contract.
You know what I mean?
Brian Kelly, your job
So
hinges on him.
He is. He's what do you call it in the NFL when you give him the 1 year salary on the average of the
franchise
he's
tag.
The franchise tag.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
like he's the franchise tag. I mean, franchise tag. You need 1 more year out of him, paying the top dollar.
Make it happen.
Exactly.
Because you look at I'm going through the list of returning starters in college football for 2025 at the quarterback position. Top 10, courtesy of 247 Sports. I will say a name, you say yay or nay, as if you'd rather him or Garrett Nussmeier. 10 on this list. Jackson Arnold, Auburn.
Nuss.
Nay. Nuss.
Lest we forget, Diego Pavia, who got his injunction and is allowed to come back to Vanderbilt for a second year.
What is he, 24?
I mean, he's old. I mean, he looks old as hell in this picture. But yeah, I mean, he did.
I mean, I would take Nuss, but like he was the one. He'd probably be the one that would concern me the most, just because he's old. You know, he's got
23.
Who else? I would take Nuss.
Nuss.
Yeah, he threw for 2,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
He's a player, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's
Gamer, moxie, all those things. Crowd favorite, show favorite, Drew Alar.
Nuss.
Amazing.
He did throw for 3,300 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, but 300 rushing yards. It's another thing that you would like to see Nussmeier maybe.
It's still so funny to hear McElroy as he's coming out on
Oh,
the field.
God, all-timer.
Yes.
I mean, that is like an all-timer.
You got to put the game in his hands.
I would definitely put the game in his hands. I mean, has he proven that he can do this time and time again? It's
You
like
have to entrust him. And what
first,
what else?
first play.
Pick.
First play. Pick.
Get him out of here.
What a
Fernando
jet.
Mendoza,
Don't even know him. Give me Nuss.
Cal, and now at Indiana. Replaces Curtis Rourke, who
Nuts.
apparently was playing on a torn ACL the entire year.
Yeah, I
Nobody-
saw that.
Nobody wanted to
That's
talk about
crazy.
it.
I knew he had like the thumb injury.
Yeah, that got all the news.
Yeah,
It was
but
disgusting.
I didn't. Torn ACLs.
Who was the quarterback that played
Phil
in the ACL?
Rivers.
Was it Phillip Rivers? It was Phillip Rivers.
That was it. What, he was in the AFC Championship against,
Yeah.
was it Brady?
I think it was like in Foxborough.
And he was he was running for first downs.
And then the deal was like LaDainian Tomlinson had
a concussion
or
or
something,
so, yeah.
and they kept showing him on the
Sideline
sideline
with the
'cause he
coat
had
on.
the coat on with the
visor,
hoodie on. He was all buckled up in the visor, and he was the MVP of the league at the time. Like, I mean,
Needed him.
had to have him.
And Phillip Rivers is out there on a busted up ACL with the knee brace
Making
flying
plays.
off. Looked like Forrest Gump
Making
running.
plays. Have you seen his son play?
Which one?
The recruitable one, right?
Not
now,
Gunner?
the oldest one.
We had one. Steven.
No, that's his younger brother.
I know. I'm just saying. I mean, you got a lineage of
Yeah.
the Rivers
And
and
his oldest son now is a junior quarterback in Alabama, and he
Slinging
is
it?
big time.
they throw it the same.
They do. He's got the same motion.
Efficient.
He's got the same motion. All right, more of them. Who you got?
It is. Yeah. Phillip Rivers, if anything, is effective. I don't know how many times he's tried, but he's popped out. His hit rate's very high.
Yes.
Got a van full of them. One of these kids is going pro at something in sports.
Play the numbers.
Dude, I mean, it's LeVar Ball. He's gonna make a whole roster.
6, Lenore Sellers, South Carolina.
I mean, I'm buying potential there, and I'd rather buy the proven product. Give me Nuss.
Yeah, I would go Nuss. It's close, but I'd go Nuss.
Carson Beck, Miami.
Nuss.
Yes, I think we all agree there. This one is interesting to me because he showed me a lot against Texas. Sam Leavitt, Arizona State.
I like Leavitt. I think his arm's stronger than you give him credit for.
He moves and he plays with his hair on fire.
Yeah.
I think he would get concussed in the SEC.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
interesting
look,
product.
Don't get me wrong. I love the mobility factor.
It also looks like he doesn't know what he's doing at times.
Right, but give me Nuss.
Yeah, Nuss.
And you get, are you buying just 1 year? Redshirt freshman.
This is a 1 year buy.
Okay.
This is a franchise tag. It's a franchise tag.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're going multiple years, I would have taken Sellers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd
Nuss is 2 on this list. 3, Arch, who Xavier Worthy said could beat him in a 10-yard dash.
I believe it. I mean, look, Arch's a big-time athlete.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, like, I saw him play basketball as a sophomore at Dunham and was shockingly surprised on how he moved out there. I mean, just very fluid, very easy, and, now he's been in Texas's weight program for a couple of years.
Right.
He's like, I think he's as good as he's advertised to be. But again, I'm buying potential here, and on a 1 year deal, if you gave me Arch and I gave you Nuss, I'd be okay with it. But if I'm buying Nuss. Telling you, brother. I mean, like, I had no idea. He was playing Dunham. He was playing Dunham that night. They were playing against Dunham, and I forget, but this was like Pixley's Dunham teams. So they were really well coached, and they had a couple players, and I mean he was the sixth guy he was the first guy off the bench. He was the sixth man. Arch was as a sophomore, and I mean when he came, I wanted to not like him. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to bash him.
Yeah, like, of course.
Yeah, I wanted to be like he's club-footed like the rest of them. Like he can't move. And then you like see him like slide block to block and make like swat a shot. You're like, oh damn, like I had no idea this guy's a big time athlete. Then you see him kind of moving around on a football field.
He was their Wildcat quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they needed him until he got knocked out.
We'll see. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing.
I don't
Arch.
expect him to be bad by any stretch
I
of
don't
the
either.
imagination.
I do not
think
either.
he's going to.
I do not either. Not only that, I think Sark's going to set him up in some great spots.
It's going to be.
I think Sark's going to run. I mean, this is kind of like that Jalen Hurts offense that he'll be able to run. I mean, this playbook for him is going to be a little bit more in depth than the Quinn Ewers.
I don't
playbook.
know how much they will put him in the mobility train.
Oh, I don't know if they can keep him out of it. I think that Arch is very comfortable in those settings.
I was talking more like designed.
Maybe not, but I mean, he's going to give you a mobile element that you're
100%.
not going to be able to
That's how he
coach.
plays.
I mean, I think that like the mobile element quarterback that people is like Nussmeier. Like Nussmeier is a guy that there's not really a mobile factor there because he doesn't want there to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? His mindset is, I'm a passer.
He trusts that right
And
on.
like, you can give me all this green space, but if I see somebody one-on-one down here, I'm letting it fly.
Yeah.
Where Arch is kind of like, to me, he's more of the athlete, sees the green space and is like, I'll take it. I'll do it. Because I know I'll pick up 15. Right? Where Nussmeier's like, give me 60.
Right.
And, it's, what
Give and take.
Yeah, what do you want? But I mean.
I think that's the element that people want to see from Nuss. And it probably was blown out of proportion just a smidge after coming off the Jaden Daniels experience where it was take off. And it's like, well, he ain't going to go 80.
Right.
Like, he'll get you 10, 12.
Right.
But I think that 10 to 12 is.
Sometimes you need it.
Right.
Well, it got to a point where it was
fight.
hurting you.
Yeah.
You know.
3rd and 6, brother.
Right.
Let's get to 1st and 10. We don't need 40 right here. But that's what if he puts that element into his game, I think that transcends what he does from a quarterback perspective. Right. If it's run 3 or 4 times a game,
absolutely,
and like, buddy,
just keep him honest.
It'll make your life so much easier.
Keep him honest. It was Burrow's senior season how he incorporated the run. There was a little bit more design run than I think that there will be for Nussmeier, but there was also parts where
you put that in because of what you saw.
I put Nussmeier's IQ up there with Burrow's. You know what I mean? I think that once you get to a certain level of it, you've got it. Burrow may have more of it just because of his experience, but both of these guys are coaches' kids. Both of these guys have been watching film since they've been 10 years old. both of these guys have an understanding of the game that they know exactly what they're looking at, right? Like then there's no real confusion for them at this part of their football evolution. You might get them for a play or a series, but for the most part, they understand what they're looking at. And I'm amped for Nussmeier's senior season. I really am. I mean, I think he's sitting in a good spot. Okay, so Arch is 4, you said?
Arch is 3.
Okay, so Nussmeier's 2.
And number 1 on this list, you will see.
Is it Nico?
No,
Nope.
He's not even on the list.
Wow.
There's one,
It's gonna be
Cade.
Klubnik.
Cade Klubnik.
They play each other week 1.
Love it.
The
Love
only one I would take is Arch. I would take Arch over Nuss. That's the only one. I just think the mobility factor, he has the arm talent, all the above, and that's the only one. But other than that,
Even for just this 1 year?
I get it. You're not going to get
kicked out the room.
right. No, I mean, I love Nuss, and I have the highest expectations for him in this offense. I just, with the struggles that LSU had, like, just all those things where, like, LSU, for Nuss to go to this next level, the run game has to be existent.
They have to be able to
Not
develop
only
the run game.
not only Nuss running it. I'm sorry, like hand it
they
off
need
to the running back and get 4 yards.
Absolutely.
That was the reason why, to me, it really went downhill so quickly when you got to
Too predictable.
A&M, Alabama, Florida, because like A&M was the one for me where you just couldn't hand the ball off. And so you're forcing. I mean, Nuss is throwing the ball 50 times.
Yeah.
That was a nightmare.
It's not a method for success.
With Dellinger getting knocked out.
Right.
I mean, that was and you're going up against maybe arguably the best D-line in the country.
Right.
Yeah, Shabar Stewart seems like he's pretty good.
And they're not having to second guess. Like, they're not having to worry about the run game.
Right.
They're like, oh, he's going to drop back.
Yeah.
We can just go get him.
You're going to take Arch, unproven, over this guy? Look at our guy grinding tape.
Do you know another play?
Working
This is Nuss in the background playing NCAA.
college football video game.
Can't wait to hang out with my boyfriend every night.
Watch the coverage. Why pop? Gus, why pop? Why pop?
He's
Why
called
pop?
audible.
4 seconds, Gus. You got it. Let's go. I know.
That's my quarterback.
That's like,
Yes! High five, babe. Let's go. Game
And
winner.
he's one of us.
Definitely.
game winner. Let's go play with LSU. Got to make the extra point.
High five.
High five.
Let's go. Don't miss it.
Come on, Ella. Just be supportive.
This is
Don't
your
mess this
future.
up for our quarterback,
This is your
Ella.
future. He's basically playing the VR headset
I mean,
right
put
now.
a headset on, Ella.
Yeah.
Go get him some water. Order some DoorDash. Support our guy, for God's sakes.
Tell him to run it the read option.
Get off his back, Ella.
Where's my juicy fruit? Somebody bring me some juicy fruit.
Treat him like a pit crew. Go over there, get him some
Hell
water.
yeah. Absolutely. Feeling good, babe.
Yeah, how's the
That's
chair?
a great play call on third down, I thought.
Look, remember you got 2 timeouts here.
That's right. Might we hit Trey Dez across the middle here?
Yeah, actually put him in.
I love it. I love it.